You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
And today on a Mindset and Motivation Monday, I'm going to talk to you about why nothing else really matters in terms of getting to your goals unless you find out the root cause of what's holding you back. Now, there's so much talk now in natural medicine and functional medicine about getting to the root cause of an issue, the root cause of a problem. So what does that really mean? Well, it means this. If you're looking at something like high cholesterol, cholesterol is not the issue itself, it's the symptom of something deeper that's going on in the body. So, for example, when someone has high cholesterol, we'll just use this and we'll go with this specific topic, and then I'm going to get into allergies and I'm going to get into weight loss as well. But let's talk about cholesterol because it's so predominant in our society, especially in the United States. Well, high cholesterol is simply a symptom of something deeper going on. So now we have to look at what is that root cause. Well, it's very interesting, but cholesterol is, for the majority, manufactured by the liver. And so it is coming from our diet, that's for sure, but typically that's making up a much smaller percentage. Now, when you look at cholesterol, would changing your diet actually help lower your cholesterol? Well, it will for a certain group of people if they eliminate cholesterol in their diet. However, that's a small group of people, about 14% of the population, maybe 20% at the very, very most. And those people have a very specific blood type. Not like the blood type diet that you may have heard about before, but actually it's called the ApoE blood type. So you can look to see if you're a 2, 3, or 4 allele. And really the only way to find that out is through genetic testing. That's the easiest way. It's the best way to find out. You simply order a genetic test. And what you're going to do is just fill up just a small amount, really just 1 or 2 little spits in a tube. That's it, a little saliva. Send out to the lab, and you're going to get an amazing report on your entire genetic code, at least what we have up to date. It's about 100 pages. Really, really great stuff. However, so those types of people, they can't clear cholesterol very well from their blood. So yes, there's a huge advantage to those people decreasing cholesterol. However, for a lot of other people, the cholesterol is actually increased from grains, from processed foods. And those specific types of people would actually increase cholesterol, not from eating cholesterol, but actually from decreasing grains in their diet. Other people, the cholesterol is from inflammation in the arteries. And that inflammation causes the body to actually manufacture and produce more cholesterol because it needs it to actually act as like this masonry glue or binder in the arteries where those nicks that needs to be repaired. So I'm going to actually do a whole episode just on cholesterol. So this is maybe just a little bit of a teaser for that. But you can see how that cholesterol isn't necessarily the bad guy. And if we lower cholesterol by taking a statin drug, that never gets to the root cause of what the actual issue is. It just doesn't make any sense. So that's what we talk about, going to the root cause. What is the issue itself? So I'm going to get more into cholesterol at a future date because so many people have high cholesterol and they're doing the wrong thing by medicating it and pretending that it isn't an issue. It is an issue. It's an underlying issue that taking a drug for it actually masks the cause of why you have high cholesterol in the first place. I want people to have those symptoms. I know it doesn't sound normal because it's not where we're coming from, but if you can show somebody who has the symptoms and isn't covering it up, I can show them that they're getting better. I can show them that their cholesterol is coming down to a healthy level. All right, so let's move on to another topic of that root cause. And for me, I want to tell you a personal story of how I dealt with allergies pretty much my entire life. Really, really my entire life, where every season I had these bloodshot eyes. I could barely open them when I woke up in the morning, and they were just swollen shut, almost like I got like a bee sting in my face. And I really couldn't go outside for a month of the year. Really brutal allergies. Not a very happy time during that 1 month of the year, which is typically April, beginning of April to the end of April. So 1 full month. Sometimes it would last a little longer if I was really lucky that season, and pretty miserable time. What I would do is I would literally take Claritin, I would take Benadryl around the clock, like twice as much as the average dosage. So I would take 2 Benadryl every 4 hours. That's a lot of Benadryl. That should knock down anyone's allergies. It might put you to sleep, but it should knock down your allergies. I was taking high dosages of vitamin C, nettles, all sorts of things. So combining a lot of natural-based products, and I was combining all sorts of pharmaceutical-based products. This was a few years ago, many years ago. But what I found out was this, that when I really looked at the research and looked at the data, that amount of natural antihistamines, along with Benadryl and all these other products that had other pharmaceutical-based antihistamines, well, if it was allergies and it was a histamine-based issue, that should have worked. And so it kind of dawned on me that if I'm taking this much stuff as an antihistamine and I still have debilitating allergies, it can't be a histamine issue, right? And so that's when I started to say, oh, that's not the issue. And that's when I started to look at, well, it was actually inflammation and poor adrenal function that led to my allergies. So what happened was my body was so wiped out, so burnt out, that I wasn't producing enough norepinephrine or epinephrine, adrenaline. And because of that, I also could not produce enough glucocorticoids. These are basically just adrenal-based functions that help give you that energy, that give you that boost, and they're also anti-inflammatories, natural anti-inflammatories. So I had this rampant inflammation in my body. Now, part of it is because of my genetics, that I produce less epinephrine, I guess, less energy than maybe your average person, whatever average is. And then also combine that with stress, combine that with all sorts of things in life, I basically burnt out that HPA pathway, the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal pathway. So it wasn't until I started actually figuring out boosting my adrenal glands to a much greater level, because I already was feeling pretty good. I had energy, but not to the level that I needed them to be, combined with natural anti-inflammatories like turmeric, that I was able to then decrease my allergies. And it had nothing to do with taking antihistamines. So now, during my allergy season, again, it's the same as I've always had, but during this one particular month, I just give myself a little bit of an adrenal boost, an adaptogen boost, and I use natural anti-inflammatories like turmeric and ginger. And those things work phenomenally well for me. So for me, that's getting back to that root cause. Yes, I may always produce a little bit less epinephrine or be a little bit more prone to allergies than your average person. However, I can very easily counter that now and be able to go out for walks like I did today with no allergies whatsoever. So anyway, I do hope that gets you to kind of see that there is something well below what we have as symptoms, and that's what we call the root cause. When you fix the root cause, you have to find out what it is first, but when you find out that root cause, you're able to then address it completely. And what we do is we do functional medicine lab testing, and it's really simple. You get an at-home test. You can use a saliva kit if it's hormone-based. You can use a urine kit if it's gut-based, looking at your gut permeability, and that's something I had to fix in the past as well. Or it could be a blood spot if you're looking at your inflammation in terms of your omegas, your omega-3 to your omega-6, or if you're looking at particular thyroid-based issues or food sensitivities, like all of these different things. And again, all of these things can lead up to basically this really high threshold of your body's tolerance is just kind of overwhelmed. And when you get overwhelmed, that's when you start to see the symptoms. You don't typically have high cholesterol at 10 years old, but it's building up, and then it comes out at 25 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, whatever it might be. It just depends on your threshold and kind of the environment and lifestyle that you are living, and combined with what you're more susceptible to. However, just because you're susceptible to it doesn't mean you have to have it. And that's what epigenetics is all about. It's controlling our genetics. So let's take it to just one more thing, because I know we have so many people who listen to this podcast for health, for anti-aging, and then also for weight loss. So for weight loss, as I always talk about, you first have to get your nutrition in control. You have to start eating healthier, of course. Okay, so there's that part. And then you do have to add in some type of exercise and at least walking. Okay, so you've done that. But then let's say, well, you've only gotten to a certain point with your nutrition, and you've only gotten to a certain point with your exercise. Well, eating less and exercising more is certainly not going to help you, right? That just hopefully makes sense. So what you need to do is then look at, well, what are some of these underlying root causes of why I can't lose the weight? And then we have to start looking at hormone. We have to look at, what do your cortisol levels look like? What do your estrogen levels look like? What do your thyroid levels look like? What do your inflammation levels look like? Do you have some type of bacterial overgrowth in your gut? Do you have some type of yeast-based overgrowth? When we look at these particular things, then we can say, oh, here's why this person is stuck. So just keep it in mind that that's what we're looking for. That's what the root cause is. And I believe that's why we've been so successful at helping our wellness and weight loss clients, is because we're willing to go deeper than the same adage that everyone says, oh, you're just eating too much. Oh, you're just eating, the wrong foods, or, whatever it might be. Well, what happens when you start eating the right foods and you plateau? What then can you do? So I talk a lot about that, of course, on every Weight Loss Wednesday episode, and I talk about the training Thursday, the exercise that you need, all of these particular things. Keep doing those things, but I'm just letting you know that if you ever plateau, if you're ever stuck, if you've ever been told you have this mystery disease or this mystery illness, whatever it might be, I do want to tell you there's always an answer. Just because the person you're working with currently right now doesn't know the answer doesn't mean that there's not an answer. And I had to go through that myself personally. I went to, 50, 100 different doctors and health practitioners literally on my path to getting well again. And some of them knew more answers than others, and some just didn't. They just said, well, it doesn't seem like anything wrong with you. Seems like you're pretty healthy. That's what most conventional medicine doctors told me. Nothing's wrong with your son, they told my parents. There's nothing wrong with him. We can see nothing wrong. He looks very healthy. It must just be in his head. It's not in your head. They're wrong. You're right. There is something wrong. You just need to find out what that underlying root cause is. So first, start with eating the healthy foods, start with exercise, and then I want to let you know there's always an option to go deeper. I hope this helps. I hope this lets you understand better what the root cause really is and how you can find it if you are interested. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into another Cabral Concept.
Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only two ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to stephencabral.com/rainbarrel.